So I want to start off giving a little bit of background into the Innovation Fund. It was developed in 2019, so it still is a pretty new program here at APS. And the Innovation Fund it came about because at that time they wanted to provide members an opportunity to come up with innovative ways to positively benefit the physics community and the broader scientific community, and also provide that funding to have our members look at some of the challenges in the physics community and propose ways that we can solve those challenges. So with the APS Innovation Fund, it is not a traditional physics research fund. This really is an opportunity for members to apply to create something that can show not just people in the physics community, but even those outside of the physics community, the importance of physics, the excitement of physics, and also to look around, the physics community and say, hey, where do we need to innovate, and where do we need to change something? And that's what our Innovation Fund was developed for. And I'd like to just give you a summary of our cycles. We've had 6 cycles with the Innovation Fund. So we've had lots of pre-proposals come through, and you'll see our awards there. So last year for 2024, it was our smallest number of proposals, but we kind of expected that because last year we moved to having a theme for all of our application years. And so since they're very specific, we're getting people really with that core interest in those particular themes. And I'm sure you're looking at the graph and you're thinking, okay, you start off with 44 or 50, and then you get down to 2 awards or very few awards. So in the past several years, we were giving less awards, typically 3 or 2. So it was very competitive. We still have a competitive process. However, we're offering more awards. And so you'll see last year that we offered 5 awards. And hopefully, through this innovation session, you will come to understand what the review panel is looking for and how to best showcase your idea. The Innovation Fund reflects our APS core values. These are our core values, if you're not familiar with them. And the Innovation Fund is all about the scientific method, seeing what's out there. How do we test it? How do we prove it? Also, collaboration, education, learning, and respect. And for those that, become APS awardees, it is an expectation that, throughout your project and award time, that you will also exemplify the APS core values. A piece of the application, and we're going to talk more about that later, is to talk about how the work that you are proposing aligns with the APS mission and vision and those core values. So if you have and want more details on the core values, the APS website goes into details about those and why they are important for APS and our members. So jump into our application theme, which I know you all have seen is capacity building for education and careers in climate science. I'd like to share how we got to this theme. So we start with our member interest. At last year at our March meeting, government affairs, and every year they typically have a board in which people can share what they're interested in, what are the things going around in society related to physics that our members are really interested in and concerned about. So from those interests, we take the top list and we share those with the APS Council of that list. And there were a variety in addition to climate science. And the APS Council, they identify the top themes based on, their expertise and connection with the physics community. After the council has identified the top themes, they then prioritize, like, where do we really want, what's most important? Is this first priority, second, or third? So we then have the priority of those as they take some time to think about it. And then with those priorities, the APS Council really comes to a decision and says, all right, this is going to be the application theme for this year. And that goes to the APS board to approve. So I just wanted to give you some insight on how we get to the themes for the Innovation Fund. And in speaking about climate science, a piece of, again, the Innovation Fund is how do we get more people aware of the significance of physics and also the excitement. And so, in thinking about proposals and all of the things of physics that are part of climate science, we also think about the ways in which many people are not aware of physics' significant role in climate science. And that's people outside of the physics community and also within the physics community. So we see this as, a social environmental challenge for the physics community that more people need to know about the importance of it, and that the things that they're learning in their classes are also things that can be applied to climate science and also bring about more awareness of the careers in climate science that a lot of physicists are already in, or bringing about awareness of those careers that are lacking physicists, but it's related to climate science. So the scope for this year, and typically with the Innovation Fund, we are focused on, enhancing education. That could be K-12, it could be community college, it could be 4-year or graduate. But the goal is to enhance the education that our students receive around physics, and also to engage the public in this. APS is all about everyone knowing how important physics is, and also engaging those who typically don't think about it, and in hopes, that people who haven't thought about it and get exposed to physics will think more about it and continue to participate in the physics enterprise and keep it thriving with more people going into programs or just understanding the significance of it. Also, to broaden participation, as I said, not just keeping this information in one area throughout the country or worldwide, but how can you really broaden who either has access to the information, who knows the information, and how to increase representation in the climate science area for physicists. And sustainable capacity. This is a very short award, small seed fund money. And we want proposals that really think about, all right, I have this great idea for right now, and the Innovation Fund is providing seed funding, but also how can you continue it? And that will be a part of the application. How is it possible for you to, try this out for 1.5 years, and then how do you keep it going after you see the impact of what you're doing? So we don't just want you to stop at, here's my great idea, but we want you to continue in the proposal process thinking about how could I sustain this for a longer period of time? How could I get more people involved in this, or more universities, or more educators, or more people in industry? We want to see those type of proposals. Eligibility, you have to be an APS member to be the main PI. The co-PIs are not required to be an APS member, and you can do up to a maximum of 2 co-PIs. A lot of our Innovation Fund projects are typically teams. We've only had a few where there's one person, because we value that collaboration and what you can get out of collaborating with people who may be where you are, or maybe at another institution, or maybe someone that has expertise outside of physics that can bring some value to your project. If you are a graduate student or an undergraduate student, we had an undergraduate student last year submit a proposal and was awarded in support with their faculty member. But if you are a student, a postdoc, or in a training position, you will have to submit a letter of support from your advisor or your department. That letter of support can, just include that they support you taking time to do this work, or they will provide you resources as in space or additional funding to do the work. But in some way, we need to know that your department will support you, and your grants office will also support the process once you are awarded. These awards are, again, 1.5 years. We expect that the majority of the activities of your award will happen within that first year. And then more of the focus on the last 6 months will be on the impact assessment, looking at what you assess throughout your project and really beginning to develop those reports and conclusions about the work that you've done. And I see there might be a question in the chat, potentially. I saw something pop up in the chat. All right. So I see I am an APS member and I have maybe as a nonprofit company, is my company eligible to submit to this program? Yes, absolutely. And we've had several nonprofits do that in the past. So yes, you can absolutely submit. Most of our awards or most of our applications do come from universities. However, we do have a few that come from industry and also nonprofits. So yes, you are welcome. I talked about the 5 grants. They're each going to be valued at $50,000. And in that budget, you can include travel. You can include stipends for faculty or administrative support or students. That is all acceptable. Anything, if you're doing anything around education, if there are kits that you need, materials, you can include that in the budget. If you need to get materials to different places as well, if you're hosting an event, all of those things can be included in the budget. And we want to make sure that we emphasize and that if you are awarded, we don't just give the $50,000 all at once to the university or the institution that you're at. APS will reimburse you every 3 months. And so it's important to speak with your grants office if you're thinking about applying, and so that they're aware that it will be a reimbursement basis. And so you will work, and as you incur costs, you will invoice APS, and we will reimburse you throughout your award period up to that $50,000. I want to take some time now to talk about innovation strategies. This is an innovation fund, and we cannot have an innovation fund without thinking about how to use innovation strategies and practices through the proposal and also the execution of your project. So I want to talk about, for something to be innovative, what do you think that means? If something is innovative, what does it mean to be innovative? And you are welcome to put that in the chat. What does it mean to be innovative? Anybody? Great. I see new connections. Yes. Anybody else? Novel ways of thinking and doing. Yes, absolutely. Creative ways to solve problems. Creativity, transforming something. Absolutely. Trying something new that supports our future world and well-being. Yes, that is definitely a big part of the Innovation Fund. Something that doesn't exist before would be innovation. And I love this person here saying coming at a problem from a different angle. Correct. So innovation, typically people think about the novel, new, but the other piece is it can be new, but it can also be a newer version of something. It doesn't have to be completely new. So if you are thinking about applying, you don't necessarily, if there's something you're already aware of and you're like, if I just had these funds, I'd be able to take it to the next level. Those are also things that we want to see as well. The other piece to innovation is that it needs to offer value to the user or the people that you are designing it for. And sometimes that is what people may not always think about with innovation. They think about the new, they think about transforming, but the other piece is that you're designing it for the user and not necessarily maybe what you think to be the best idea. So I'd like to share the 3 pillars of social innovation. And we're saying social innovation because the Innovation Fund is a way to address societal or environmental challenges within the community. So the first pillar of social innovation I want to share, and these are important questions and things to think about as you are reflecting on what you'd like to propose. You want to think about, is there demand? And some people may say, oh, this sounds very businessy and innovation is more for entrepreneurship. It is business and entrepreneurship, but the strategies of innovation are very important in designing and executing a concept, a program, an event to make sure you have considered all the things to have a good plan. So for what you are thinking about for your proposal, are people going to want to participate? Are you designing it in a way that they can have access to it? Is it going to be in a way that's engaging to them? Does it work? So the other piece there is if they participate, engage in whatever you have designed, what is the positive that's going to come out of that engagement? What is going to change in them, either their understanding, their perspective, if they engage in what you are proposing? And the other piece is, how do you keep it going? Because it's challenging when there's a great idea and there is impact, and then it stops because there's no more funding or resources. And that's why earlier I emphasized that piece of we're looking at proposals that have a great potential to continue and have more participation or become a bigger piece in the area that they're in. So think about these three things as you are thinking about what you would propose. This is an example of the business model canvas. And you can Google business model canvases and you'll get a variety of outlines, but they all look like this. They may have different questions in them, but it's all getting to the value and the impact. And the reason why I show the business model canvas is because I encourage you, if you have a team or just you that are writing the proposal, to take these questions and really look at them even before you start looking at the proposal questions and answering them. Because the questions that you see here on the business model canvas, they're in some ways going to be a part of the pre-proposal application questions. And so cost structure, we've talked about, you'll create a budget, revenue, well, maybe not something you're getting revenue from, but something that you're thinking about, how do we continue to sustain the cost of what we're doing? A key piece is your audience, your user, be it faculty, students, K-12 teachers, a community center. Who is it that you're designing it for? And you need to look at, what do they value? And sometimes you can do that just by knowing your population, but it's also very important to research the audience that you're designing for. And not necessarily, it doesn't have to be fully extensive research, but if you're thinking about doing something for college students, talk to college students to see what they feel like are the gaps missing in climate science and physics. What are the gaps? What would make them want to engage or participate? If you're designing something for faculty, the same thing. What are the gaps? What do they need? And what would make them want to engage? So let me go back. So not just, here's my solution and it is great, or here's my idea and it's great, but looking at the people who are going to engage, what do they want? So business model canvas, you can use that for anything in which you are creating or developing something new, because it makes you really think about all of the pieces of what you need to do to execute, and also the people that you need and the funding that you need. So this is very important part of the Innovation Fund.
Could you come over with it? Yes, sir.
Oh, I think somebody has to mute. And as I was saying, with innovation, for the Innovation Fund, impact is very important to us. We want to see that more people either are engaging in physics, understanding physics, getting excited about physics, learning something new about physics. And so, as you're thinking about your proposal, just as those questions before, what is going to be the impact? Because that's what we need. And the best way, one of the best ways to do that is, like I said, don't get focused on your solution, but what is the problem? Think about what are the gaps regarding capacity building for climate science and education and careers or the workforce. Think about the problem and then how you would solve it, but not leaving out the people that you're trying to solve it for. So now I will go into a little bit more of the proposal review process, talking about criteria, the questions, and I know this is probably the main thing that you all came to hear today. So I know this is a lot of information, and it is on our website. You're welcome to, take a picture of it. But I just wanted to share this is what our review panel will be looking at when they are looking at your proposals and what they are scoring. So as someone said when I asked what is innovation, they said novel. Right. We are looking for novel. Or someone said transform. Yes, transform something that already exists and make it better. Also, I had hinted at align with the APS mission and vision. How is what you are designing, how does it align with the APS mission and vision? Is it bringing more people to physics? Is it getting a younger audience interested in physics? But make sure you take a look at the mission and vision and really think about how it aligns and how you can integrate those into your idea. The feasible piece. We need a proposed timeline, but also one that we really feel like makes sense and can happen. You have a short period of time, a year and a half, and so it's really important to think about how best you can spend that time to get the results that you want. And also thinking about the people that can join you on this proposal. As I emphasized earlier, the main PI needs to be a member of APS. But it's also encouraged to include people that have no connection to physics, but they might have a strong connection to community engagement or event planning or designing curriculum. So keep that in mind that having diverse perspectives and expertise is also a benefit to your project. We've had some projects in the past that were focused on inclusion and physics classrooms, and there were physicists that were a part of that team, but there were also psychologists and counselors a part of that team to really look at the people aspect of how they're going to handle the information, what emotions might come about, the perspectives and the ways that things are best presented. Going back to the impact, we need very clear, measurable objectives of how you're going to show us the impact, not surface, but very deep. Like, how do you plan specifically to assess that your proposal can have impact? And again, the viable for how does this continue on? What are the ways or what are the populations that maybe the initial proposal may not be able to reach because of resources, but how can you gain more resources and continue it going further? I also wanted to share with you this morning, afternoon, depending upon where you are, our pre-proposal questions. These are not on the website, but some of you may have seen them if you've already logged in to the website where you can start your proposal. So there is nothing keeping you from logging into our application website and starting your proposal. You have to log in with your APS member credentials. And you can go in and see everything that we are asking for in the pre-proposal. You can do that now. But I wanted to at least share this with you so you see, and as you're thinking about maybe questions you want to ask today, the types of information we're looking for. And so again, you'll see the question for innovative. It's what is the innovative approach? What makes this different about what's been done before? And we also want to hear, like, what made you come up with this idea? What shaped it? Was it a person that shaped this particular idea? Is it other data out there that shaped your particular idea? We want to know more, not just the idea, but what brought you to that idea. We've talked about aligning with the APS mission. And then the other piece of activities. We want to see that you've thought very hard about all the things that you can do in a short period of time. And if you're allocating the budget and your team's qualifications to that. With desirable and identifying your target audience or your beneficiaries, we want to hear how you're going to engage with them. How are you going to communicate with them? Is it through email? Is it through posters? Is it how are you communicating with them? Is it via Zoom? Is it on campus in a room? We want to know how you're going to engage with them, and we want to know why. Like, why is that the best way to engage with them? And we don't want to hear why you think it's best. We want you to talk to people in that audience to show us that they have said what's best for them, and you're tailoring it to your audience. And I won't say too much on impact or viable, but again, it is very important that you think about how to measure what you are proposing to do. So in thinking about, again, all the criteria that are shared, we have a review panel that reviews all the proposals, and they score them, and they provide lots of feedback. We meet several times throughout the year. We actually had our first meeting kind of orienting the panel to the Innovation Fund on yesterday. So on the review panel, we have representation from our APS senior leadership team. The APS president-elect traditionally has always been on the review panel. We also have a representation from a staff member with an APS membership, someone who's connected to members, interacts with members a lot, and is able to provide us insight and feedback on what members are saying they're really looking for or could benefit from. We also have someone from APS Strategic Communications on staff, as they're aware of a lot of the impact stories that are coming out of the physics community, and can provide that insight on the gaps that are missing, or even the best ways to market the new projects that may be awarded. And we also have representation from our programs department, providing key expertise in program planning, program management, and really looking at, is your plan really aligned with your audience, especially students or faculty? Because in that department, a lot of people have expertise in higher education, college student development, and also have planned programs, many from start to finish. And then we also have our physics climate science experts who are members and also a part of the physics community that review the proposals. Myself and Kat, who make all of this run, we are non-voting members. We're part of the process in designing, but we do not vote on the proposals. I'd like to share some more details of our timeline. Several of these details are not on our website right now. We gave very kind of the bare bones, but I wanted to give you the details. Can't miss it up there. May 2nd is the pre-proposal deadline. May 2nd is a Friday, I'm pretty sure. And so that Saturday and Sunday, I will not be logging in to see who applied by May 2nd. I'm just sharing that with you all so you know. We are offering consultation office hours, March 25th through April 30th. The space is 30 minutes long, and you'll meet with myself and Kat or one or the other, and you can share your idea, and you can ask us questions about, are you on the right track for answering some of the proposal questions? Is this maybe in line with what we are thinking about for an Innovation Fund proposal? So you can get 30 minutes with us face to face on Zoom to just talk about your idea and ask us any questions and guidance. And we give the non-biased piece because we are not voting on the proposal. And we're really just emphasizing to you, having done this for several years, what we know the review panel and APS is looking for. So you can go to the Innovation Fund website, and there's a link there where you can go and sign up for a consultation. So again, March 25th through April 30th. We'll also, and one reason we're not starting those too soon is because we'll also be at the Global Physics Summit. We will be in the village, so you can come and see Kat and I and ask us questions as well there about the Innovation Fund. And we'll also have a session at the Global Physics Summit where we'll talk also more about the proposal process. Our goal is that finalists are invited to submit a full proposal June 27th. It's right before the July 4th holiday. I always like to make sure people are aware of that. So it could look like you have a long time. It depends on what you're doing, but I know also a lot of people will take vacation during that time. So as you're planning your proposal and thinking about, again, the timeline of when you might need to submit a full proposal. And again, the deadline there is August 1st to get those in. Again, think August 1st is a Friday, I'm pretty sure. What happens after that is once the full proposals are in, the review panel looks very carefully at them and scores them. And if there are some proposals that really they stand out, but there's more information the panel would like to have, we'll send questions to the PIs to give us a written response to those questions. And then we'll also give you the opportunity to talk with Kat and I about the questions that we gave you and additional responses. We found that having you do a written response and then also talk to us one-on-one gives us a lot of insight into maybe something that was missing in your proposal. And then October, we present the recommended awards from the review panel to the APS board. The APS board does review and have to approve funding for the ones that have been selected, and we notify our recipients in November. And so it is a long wait time to know when you are going to be notified, but I wanted to be very transparent about what that process looks like. And once, if you are awarded, I just want to share a few things about the expectations. So those that are awarded, they have quarterly progress meetings with myself and Kat to really go through their project plan, make sure they're making progress, but also for us to hear highlights as the projects are going along. And then sometimes we troubleshoot because, you know, the way that something may have been planned, when you submit the proposal, things change, right? And so we will troubleshoot together on what that might look like. Also an annual progress report and the impact assessment. We will, you know, talk with our awardees very in depth about that before they submit the full proposal and after, and what that design looks like. So Kat and I will be heavily designed in how you design your impact assessment. And there is that strong encouragement that in some way you share what you have done to the physics community. And that can be in a variety of ways, and we can help and support with that. And one way that that's happening for some of our awardees is that they are presenting at the Global Physics Summit on what they've done and the impact that they've had on the physics community. All right, so that is all officially what I have to share on the slides. I want to remind you again, the pre-proposal deadline is May 2nd. And if you like to go on our website and schedule a consultation, and that also, you know, you can go to our website and there should be an apply now button. You can go ahead and go there, and even if you don't type anything in the proposal, you can go ahead and see what it looks like and what's expected.